What's up people of YouTube, I'm NFS Beast. Today's video is about the game series I love, Need for Speed. I go over some Easter eggs, theories, and speculation in Need for Speed's history. I was mainly inspired by the NFS iceberg videos I've seen. Without further ado, let's start. And oh yeah, spoilers warning for those who haven't played the games mentioned here. Do not watch if you don't want to be spoiled. It has been theorized, but not proven, that Darius' Supra was abandoned in the showdown. The Need for Speed Carbon protagonist then switched to the iconic and famous M3 GTR after using the Supra. As for the Need for Speed Carbon player being Ryan Cooper, it's hard to say, at least in my opinion. There is a possible hint towards the Supra in Pro Street. Even the DJ mentions Darius' car left in a parking lot.
Blue car now, I can't tell what it is. License plate NFS CARBN. The little blue car, you'll know it's you because it's got the crazy NFS CARBN license plate.
This literally blew my mind. Whoa. With an open world, Underground 2 was the first ever Need for Speed with free roam. In my opinion, Bayview is fun to cruise around and show off your modified navigator. However, did you know the late Black Box, developers of the iconic Hot Pursuit 2, actually intended for the beloved feature of Racer Hunting Police to return in Underground's sequel? Originally in the development phase, Free Roam Police would mark their first appearance preceding Most Wanted. Sadly, at the time, manufacturers of the cars we love were strict on their vehicles being influenced for illegal street racing. Unfortunately, Honda was one of them. As any 2000s nighttime racer says, no underground racing game is complete without Honda. Honda would refuse to license their cars unless Black Box would remove police entirely from their game. To this day, I still think to myself, whenever I play Underground 2, how would the police function? How different would Underground 2 be with them? Perhaps one of the most surprising discoveries in recent times regarding Need for Speed and its 2012 release. Most Wanted 2012 was a success in terms of critical reception. On the flip side, many fans hated this game for being too little of a proper Need for Speed and more of a burnout with licensed cars. Over the years, Most Wanted 2012 was quickly forgotten. Nobody ever looked back, not until recently, where multiple videos surfaced on YouTube exposing what Criterion's true intentions were of that quote-unquote burnout clone. Inspecting these videos, Criterion was never planning on a Burnout Paradise knockoff. You see, Most Wanted 2012 was initially planned as Most Wanted 2. How do I know?
Driver is suspected to be the Rockport fugitive. Driver remains most wanted.
There was a clear story which took place 7 years after the events of Rockport City. The player character had a voice, and the idea of player-usable weapons returned from Hot Pursuit 2010, Criterion's previous work. Sadly, with EA rushing Criterion, the Most Wanted everyone wanted never came. With so much content cut, we received the public beta instead. If you are interested in more information about Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012, I'll leave links below in the description. Whether Most Wanted 2 could leave NFS Carbon as canonical to the main story remains a mystery. One can only imagine how Most Wanted might turn out if EA were more generous. After you win all races in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 and become the Hot Pursuit champion, there is a certain cinematic which becomes available to watch. In that cinematic, known as the reward movie, there is a fairly attractive young woman racing and escaping police in a vaguely familiar Ferrari 360 Spider. Who is this woman? Was she the rival we were racing? What happened to the racer in the Lamborghini? The one in the introduction. Rumors from fellow fans suggest this mysterious lady might be Samantha from Underground. However, how and why did Samantha switch from a Ferrari to a Honda Civic? Because two games, Hot Pursuit 2 and Underground, were very, very different in their themes. Therefore, the chances of these two characters being the same is highly unlikely. Although they could be, but still highly unlikely. Until an answer is found, this entry will remain open for speculation. This theory states all Need for Speed games, at least the ones with a story, all take place in the same universe. In a Challenge Series event in the original Most Wanted, the briefing for that event literally mentions the Bayview Police. In Need for Speed Payback, there are numerous references to past events in the series' history. The references are mainly from the curator.
Beaten the blacklist, stumped the Speed King, ran the run. Welcome to the Outlaw Rush, the nation's top street racing challenge.
Sergeant Cross has his voice heard in a recording during a mission.
You're damn right I'm not happy. To hell with this. I'm going back to Rockport.
In EA Ghost era games, you can equip license plates which are literally cities and counties from previous NFS games. Eddie from Underground 1, he returns to Need for Speed 2015 alongside Melissa. Noise Bomb from Pro Street returns, this time to Fortune Valley in Payback. So to recap, all games possibly take place in the same universe. Remember, this is what I assume from all the sources I've listed. After being crowned the Showdown King, Ryan's story ends. Whatever happened to Ryan, we don't know. However, there are two clues which hint towards the whereabouts of Ryan. One clue is from 2008's Undercover. On the scanner, a cop claims to have arrested Ryan and has him on the backseat of his cop car.
Dispatch, I got a guy resisting arrest here. He's in the backseat of my cruiser. He's not talking and he refuses to take off his racing helmet. Got his ID here. Surname Cooper, first name Ryan. You were on check for priors. I don't know, something not right about this guy.
The second clue is much more recent. In 2017's Payback, one of the protagonists mentions Ryan to the leader of Noise Bomb, Aki Kimura.
You're good.
Yeah, good enough to beat the king.
Nobody beats the king.
What about that guy? Ryan, I think.
That was years ago. Nobody's done it since.
Maybe after the events of Pro Street, Ryan went to Tri-City Bay and returned to his old habit of illegal street racing. He was then caught by the Tri-City Bay police. In my opinion, it would be awesome if Ryan returned in a Speed Hunters Showdown story, as the Speed Hunters Showdown is first seen in NFS Heat. In the end, not much is known about Ryan's whereabouts after Pro Street. We have those two clues, and that seems to be it. We all know about the silver and blue BMW M3 E46 GTR. It has been a legend of the Need for Speed series. There are some questions about this car. How did the player character obtain the BMW M3 GTR? We do know that in Carbon, the M3 GTR is wrecked after the pursuit from Cross. Many years later in Heat, Mercer tries to escape Anna and the player in the same colored M3 GTR. Another question which is brought up, how did the BMW end up in Palm City? And what I would like to ask, is this really the same car which once belonged to the Rockport fugitive? If this is the case, not only is my mind blown of this revelation, but it also proves all Need for Speed games are connected. One more thing I want to point out, regarding the possibility in which Razor tuned the M3. Personally, I think no, because even without the upgrades, the player was able to win plenty of races. In the beginning of Most Wanted 2005, the M3 is purposely slow so that us players can have an easy introductory driving experience. The BMW M3 GTR is an icon of the NFS series. Okay, I am not sure how fully credible this is, but it's what I suspect. Need for Speed Carbon, basically a more underground-oriented Most Wanted, wasn't actually planned to be a Most Wanted sequel. Don't quote me on this because there's not an abundance of proof. However, I can show what is available. Apparently, Darius' Supra was the car used for the first cutscene in the game. The Supra would have made more sense than the M3 GTR because in the ending of Most Wanted 2005, the player escaped Rockport. It just feels kinda off that the player loses his M3 right after reclaiming it from Razor. Perhaps Carbon was intended as a separate entry rather than a follow-up. Somewhere in development, Need for Speed Carbon switched up to what it is known today. Most Wanted 2005 and Carbon had different themes, at least in my view. Most Wanted felt as if it were a Hot Pursuit 3, and Carbon felt like an Underground 3. Needless to say, both games are wonderful in their own ways, and are a huge part of my childhood. It's fun to see how different these games could be if all their cut content had been able to stay. It's surprising to see vehicle customization appeared earlier in Need for Speed's history. In High Stakes, you could modify cars. This is mind-boggling. Initially, I believed Underground had customization first. In actuality, High Stakes from 1999 had this function first. It's intriguing how past features can be resurrected, like how Nitrous first appeared in Hot Pursuit 2, the PS2 version, before its normalization in Underground 1 onwards. I heard rumors that Motor City Online had 2 tuner cars in its final update, or near their final updates. By the way, Motor City Online was the very first MMO Need for Speed game. These two games, High Stakes and Hot Pursuit 2, are very interesting games in which they introduced elements which would become mainstays of future games in the Need for Speed series. So that was the video. Need for Speed has been around for a very long time, so it seems fair a lot of great games have released throughout its history, each containing interesting content cut and or changed during the development process. I hope Need for Speed stays around for years to come. It's a game series that has been there for us fans ever since 1994. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a big like, and consider subscribing if you want to support this channel. My name is NFS Beast, learning something new about Need for Speed every day, and peace out, peeps.